everyone. Welcome to LECTORAlive, your inside track into Lectora. And today we've got somebody who has the inside track on Lectora and CourseMill. Here we go. Hi, we are back. I'm Rick Zanotti, and today I'm joined by a good friend, Dr. David Lukasik, and he is the Chief Technical Officer and Chief Learning Officer for PSIUSA.com out of Orlando, Florida. And he is responsible for the LMS, the training, and just about everything else that nobody else does there. He does it all. Dave, how are you today?
I'm doing well, Rick. Good to speak with you.
Same here. I'm glad you could make it. And last moment, too, so I've got to definitely thank you for that. We originally had Colin Steed on. I keep joking that he's the cousin of John Steed, one of the Avengers from way back when, Emma Peel, and if you remember that show. He got sick, and so he couldn't make it. And Dave was very kind to join us last moment. And Dave is quite a whiz at e-learning and also at learning management systems. I think you've been through about 3 or 4 in the last several years.
We have. I'm happy to have finally settled on and consolidated a number of systems into CourseMill at this point in time, and that was probably about 2 years ago, Rick.
So it's been 2 years already on CourseMill?
Yes, and also happy to see that their product continues to improve, and as you know, I'm pretty excited about their new integrated reporting application, Advanced Reports, which I thought we might speak about today just because of the power it really brings to the reporting engine in an LMS, which is nice to see.
Well, one of the nice things is, usually when people talk about LMSs, it's usually has something to do with lost my marbles, can't stand it anymore, I'm going to kill someone. And CourseMill, actually, we've worked with it in the past, is nice. It's clean. It's simple, yet it doesn't really lack any real major features. And now with the advanced reporting, I haven't worked with the advanced reporting yet, so from what you've been telling me, it does an awful lot of new things. And you mentioned something earlier in the pre-show that it has upped the amount of compliance by 15% in literally no time.
Yeah, for what I consider to be a relatively nominal cost, we adapted to it early, purchased it early. One of the capabilities it offers is the ability to provide reports with some intelligence to them beyond the native reporting. So we took it on for a very specific purpose, and from my desk, it's provided very quick ROI. So we took it on, and the first thing we did with it was build a report that is actually pushed to all of our managers across the company that really gives them a forecast of current enrollments, dates due, and that report has a little bit of MySQL code in it, so it constantly knows the date. It's using some base language to monitor forward-looking dates. So on a weekly basis, they see that report creep forward a week, and it's helped the guys make sure their folks are getting their training done on time.
So in essence, it's also customizable, because you said you could put in some SQL code. This is stuff you put in?
Yeah, this is stuff, we've been working with Debbie Giffen, who's kind of the Advanced Reports product manager at Trivantis, so she's been very helpful. But the help that's available today has the entire database schema shown. It has the MySQL date and time formulas accessible directly in the help. So it's not complicated code. It just takes a little bit of work to figure out what you want it to do. And you can go out and just Google or search for code that does certain things these days pretty easily.
And you've got about 3,000 people on it right now?
Just about that, yeah.
Just about that.
So we have 2 separate companies that we support through CourseMill, and have about, I think it's actually right around 2,500 employees on it today. So,
okay. Now, how does it handle the seasonal, when you do the seasonal workers? Because I think you did have occasions when they're building projects or something that you did hire seasonal, right?
Yeah, on the pure LMS side, it's served us very well, because one of the things that we've struggled with other systems is the ability to create user profiles on demand, so to speak. So when we have a new hire, whether it's a new hire or a rehire, we can have them on the system as soon as a phone call comes into the office. We're not dependent upon having an employee number in place. We can basically generate an account and later merge it in. And what that allows us to do is get people running on entry-level onboarding training literally within moments of them stepping into an office somewhere.
That's pretty good. So did you negotiate more number of users, or is it just part of what's concurrent?
We actually just increased our seat base because we don't necessarily like to archive too frequently because of the number of seasonal employees we have.
Okay.
We go through, we probably add typically 400 employees during the heavy construction months, particularly in the northern states. And those are routinely rehires, so they work with us each and every year. So we turn them on and turn them off, but for rehires, it's a real simple thing just to reactivate their account rather than pushing it out to an archive.
Now, originally, I think we sold you one of the first LMSs you had, which was Outstart, and you still talk to me, so I guess that was good. It served your purposes, but it wasn't flexible enough for what you needed. You went through a couple of others. What made you decide on CourseMill?
We did. I think about we started with Outstart, which got us up and running for a large software deployment. And geez, Rick, I think that was almost 10 years ago.
I know it's been a while.
Have used some third-party LMSs where to access material that we couldn't bring into Outstart. Outstart was ultimately turned into the Connexa Learning Suite, so we kind of went through that almost redeployment. But at the end of the day, with the LMSs, we've become savvy enough to kind of understand what they do and don't do, and parts of them that we really need from a functional standpoint. For instance, that ability to really create and merge accounts on the fly without the need for custom coding. And at the end of the day, we looked at several different systems 3 years ago, spent, I'd say, the better part of 4 or 5 months doing some pretty hard shopping after we'd narrowed it down to 3, and ultimately found that CourseMill fit the bill the best and went with a hosted account, which keeps us concurrent with the latest versions, and I found it to be very well supported.
Now, I remember back then you originally had to do a lot of programming to have it integrate into your HR system and get all the reporting you wanted. How did you do that with an online system?
The online, we still sync on a daily basis. It is it allows us to sync on demand. We do take a push report daily from our ERP system. I still contend that those reports need to be manually checked just to make certain that the adequacy of the data. So we manually sync, but it's a simple thing to drop that file into CourseMill directly. We used to have to work through our IS group for that, but one of my admins does that just outside my office each day. So it's really worked very well for us.
Now, when it comes to LMSs, a lot of people really either don't understand what they're getting into or go through horrific implementation cycles. And I've seen people take 1 and 2 years to implement, and on the whole, they're semi-disastrous. What if you were talking to somebody, and I know you have talked to people about things like this, what would you recommend they start with when they look at an LMS? And what would your approach be to finding the right LMS for somebody's business?
Well, that's actually a fairly interesting question. I attended the Lectora user conference in CourseMill Day, just a month or 2 back, and we use the LMS almost entirely for e-learning. We really don't use it for instructor-led management of resources and courses. So it was interesting to sit in a room of people that do actually use CourseMill for various different purposes, and hear suggestions offered for the next build that that at the end of the day, John Laws is trying to figure out from a suggestion how to extend that to multiple users. So kind of to me, almost at the foundation of selecting an LMS, Rick, is what is your need? Is it strictly e-learning? Is it a hybrid of e-learning and face-to-face, or is it entirely instructor-led? And I think there are different products probably that suit those different needs in the market. Again, the size of or how you manage your workforce, how that information is going to be shipped into the system to keep your learners current, certainly is important. Reporting was not at the top of my shopping list, but much more so how we can basically batch processes that are accessible inside the system. And I've certainly asked for some features to be added to the next build of Lectora that we did see in other systems that it did not have, that I thought would provide some convenience for us.
That was in Lectora?
Not in CourseMill.
In CourseMill, okay.
When we looked at 3 different systems, it was kind of interesting to say, and really look at how would we leverage a certain feature or function. And some of the other systems had some features that quite frankly, we really did like, that were not currently accessible in CourseMill. And at the end of the day, we certainly have asked that they consider adding those for their future build.
Yeah, and I've noticed that they're actually pretty good about trying to take customer input and doing something with it. Well, what do you think the hardest thing about an LMS is? Aside from just having one sometimes.
I'm not certain I can answer that question. Really, at this point, Rick, I don't think there's too much of anything that's inherently difficult about managing an LMS. We've been through several. We really like the one we're on now. I really don't see any foreseeable reason to change. In the event of change, though, the transition and redeployment does involve a small amount of pain. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I was willing to take that pain of change because we really were having some struggles with the KLS when we departed with them. But we deployed CourseMill in just under 4 weeks.
Oh, that's excellent.
That included,
really?
Bringing in all of our legacy course records.
Now, that puts you in kind of a unique position among a lot of people because, like I said, LMS implementations usually are months to years, and for no real reason other than I think a lot of LMS vendors make it very difficult. So that's actually a very quick time to get up and running. And now the reporting side of it, most LMSs don't come with a lot of reporting. Or it's very standard, basic reporting. And to really modify them, you have to go in and either modify a lot of code or have IT departments do it for you. You were saying that with this particular solution with CourseMill and the advanced reporting, that you don't really have to go to IT that much.
Oh, I think what they've done by integrating the advanced reports into CourseMill is really a stroke of genius. I would agree the historical or legacy systems we've used, the reporting has been, in a word, a little bit clunky.
Yeah.
You can get data back out of the systems, but typically then you have to go to great lengths to manipulate it, to post it, what have you. So what advanced reports is, is they fundamentally they kind of leapt light years ahead and have bolted on and fully integrated a business intelligence software system. That's known as Intrinsic Informer is actually the product that Advanced Reports is based on.
Okay.
So by doing so, it enables us to build not only custom reports, and you'll laugh at this because when it was originally proposed or when they first started speaking to it, our CourseMill manager that we account manager that's been with us since deployment said, well, Dave, you'll be able to put any piece of information on any report. And not being skeptical by nature, I'm like, sure, where have I heard things like that before? But as it turns out, She actually was absolutely correct. It is a relational database, so understanding the database schema, which is something they publish and walk you through during the training, allows you literally to reach to any field inside that database. Now, you may have to do it relationally, but at the end of the day, you can, in the advanced reports coming out of CourseMill, you can hide fields. You can take data and manipulate it. You can put in custom fields to do calculations on information, and ultimately take what is maybe a 30-column report and skinny it down to the 5 columns you want to show.
Nice. And it's basically a report writer without you needing to be super technical.
Oh, absolutely not. There is a learning curve to it. The training documentation's good, and Intrinsic has content online for their standalone users. So we've kind of mined through that, as well as worked closely with Debbie Giffen. But the reporting engine really is pretty straightforward, I would say. We're needing small assistance, and so when we start writing, putting in a little bit of JavaScript to convert values into other values, it's just a learning curve. But once you learn how to do it once, it's an easy enough thing to replicate. So then there's an additional very large component of this. Because to this day, I find looking at text-based reports to be difficult for a lot of people.
Right.
Part of the BI side of advanced reports is a fully integrated dashboard capability.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So you can take those reports and in turn convert them directly into dashboards. So whether you look at trend charts, pie charts, dashboard type gauges, line charts, column charts, it'll read all of that information, as well as you can point it at external data sources or upload flat files. And that makes the presentation of the data so much easier for people to comprehend. And as you would expect on a dashboard, if you want to see the underlying data, you have the ability to control whether by clicking on a dashboard, whether the underlying report appears or not to the user, whether it's exportable. So incredible controls and ability to put this out in a much better and more consumable format.
So that reminds me of the old executive information systems people used to sell, the EIS systems back when in the 90s. And they kind of fell out of favor. But now they're more, like you said, dashboards, and so that's actually pretty good. Now, can you use that report against other databases, or does it only have to be against the CourseMill database?
Well, that's the part that got me exceptionally excited from my job as CTO. Is and I believe a lot of chief learning officers and learning departments have responsibility for perhaps data just outside of their LMSs. So the good part about this is they did not minimize the advanced reports platform. You basically get the full BI system, which allows you to point or generate dashboards from archive reports, from other data warehouses, and from Google spreadsheets and Excel spreadsheets.
So in essence, by getting this, you not only got a full report writer for the learning data, you got a full report writer for everything.
Oh, it's like someone came along and gave nice. Me a BI system, and I'm really happy about that.
Yeah, that's actually really nice. And BI, business intelligence, right?
Yes, business intelligence. Yeah. And the other really nice part about that is the advanced reports are publishable any type, so it's not so they're built-in advanced reports. We have the ability then to secure those to specific users or user groups using the LMS. Now, it might not be what you'd consider a traditional place to go look for sales metrics, but if that's the BI system we're going to build them in, I can publish those across our user base very quickly, and instead of going into our ERP system, they're just going into the LMS, which is secured, which we secure basically through our user base to access the dashboards.
That's actually really nice. So you could technically go after your ERP system data, anything you have access to data with, you can actually tie it together.
Oh, absolutely.
Nice.
as you know, we recently underwent a SharePoint deployment where we've basically replatformed our intranet. One of the nice aspects of the dashboards, and you know, I just rely heavily on black box technology for this, but it provides you with the iframe embedment code, so things that we're trying to promote and advertise. For instance, maybe something like a safety training dashboard. We're taking that, building the dashboard, and embedding that directly on SharePoint to really promote the success we're having with some of our training programs. So that's going directly out to our intranet. It's accessible immediately there by our user base. And you know, the way the advanced reports work, that data set is put on. We're putting them on daily refreshes. So every time someone goes to that iframe, that data is being refreshed overnight.
That's
so
nice.
As training is completed, it's kind of the set it and forget it type of approach, which for us is fabulous.
That's actually pretty impressive. And I didn't realize that they had that capability to actually go beyond the learning data and then manipulate any data out there, which is in and of itself worth the price of entry into that kind of package, because usually you have to buy a separate report writer. The report writers usually aren't that easy for people. We've been through our share throughout the years, and even something like a Crystal Reports back when, not that easy. You still have to know what you're doing, and they can get very complex and tricky. The average user, no, gone. And I think you were mentioning earlier that your own managers can now actually run their own reports. They don't have to wait for somebody to feed them the reports.
They have access to, you know, CourseMill has native reports in it, which our managers have access to. As we build the dashboards and separate advanced reports, they just sit in a different part of the system. For the reports that are coming directly from the CourseMill database, those can be protected even further in regard to basically we're setting up user-defined profiles. So when a given manager logs into a given dashboard or report, when they click on it, they only see the aspect of the company that they control. So again, but it's all right through the LMS, and this, you know, the ability to provide the visualization side of things through pie charts. Okay, I'm going to click on the little thin tab that shows me the people that belong to me that are yet to start or incomplete versus the part of the pie chart that shows the completed. Really simplifies things.
That sounds great. Well, Dave, we are about at the end of our time, and I just want to thank you for coming on and sharing some of your experiences with CourseMill of all things, because most people never talk about their LMSs. I mean, believe me, we've done the eLearn chat show for 5 years, and anytime you bring up LMS, you just kind of hear, I don't want to talk about it. So this is kind of unique when people say, you know, hey, this LMS is working for me. In most cases, and believe me, we've been through, I think, about 15 LMSs throughout the years, if not more. Very few actually do what they're supposed to. There are some, but not many. And so it's nice to hear your experience and also how you're implementing it from a business perspective, not just from the learning perspective, which, again, is kind of key to tying everything together. Now, do you guys measure, just before we leave, just one last question, do you guys measure performance of the employees through the LMS, and can that be tracked back to HR systems?
There are certainly, from a pure talent management standpoint, that can be done, and I believe Trivantis actually offers an extension to CourseMill that is really specific for talent management.
Oh, okay.
So, we do not have that component installed, you know. But you know, where I see some, and why I'm really excited about the potential this offers. Certainly for existing CourseMill users and for new users of the system on the advanced report side, is I do know a number of CLOs that are responsible for reporting primarily compliance, completions, that type of thing. Those reports may be pushed on some periodic basis. For those folks, this is the dream come true. They can build a dashboard that refreshes daily where their compliance data is immediately available to whomever they care to share that with. I mean, how simple is that? So think of the time that frees up. I don't have to prepare a set of reports and push them each week. I've got a dashboard out there that's live all the time. You want to see our current compliance? Here it is. Now, that's not really the biggest part of my life. That's not how we're applying it. But one of the things this is going to do for me is it's going to save me about 20 hours a month. And that's a big chunk of time in my life.
You might be able to take a vacation.
Well, actually, I could do that. Maybe on time this year.
Maybe on time. So anyway, Dave, appreciate you coming on. If people need to get a hold of you just through PSI?
They can get a hold of me. I'm dave.lukasik at psiusa.com. I'd be happy to share my experiences with individuals who either are currently looking at the system or otherwise using it today. I'm trying to be active in the Trivantis community, obviously. And Rick, I think when you get a chance to really take a look at that advanced reports, I think you're going to be impressed.
Yeah, I'm going to ask him about that because it does look really impressive. We have a test because we don't really run any LMS internally. We set them up for people, but not internally. We don't have enough people to really warrant it. But I like the idea of the reporting and what you can do with it, and just the power you're talking about. That's the kind of stuff that life is good for. It's if you can save 20 hours a month, that's a lot of hours.
Oh, like I said, this to me was when I really kind of got my mind around what it was that they plugged into the system and integrated. My word keeps coming back. This is genius.
That's great.
It bypassed someone from saying, okay, we're going to try to improve our reporting system, which I've heard from other LMSs, to, okay, here's a full business intelligence system. Have at it.
Yeah.
Good
luck.
To have that level of that robustness of reporting and dashboard capabilities at my fingertips
that's great.
Some might call that dangerous.
That's great. And 20 hours a month, that means you're only working about 300 hours a month. That's good. That's really good. So
we're getting there with that. But no, this does actually simplify our life. That's why I say I think selecting the right LMS and understanding how to run it, and I think all of them have attributes. This one has many, in my view, and relatively few issues that we face. But I think they're actually, they've got a significant build underway right now, as I know it really from the ground up. If they take care of a few of my minor problems and build a learning resource system in as part of it, which is really what I want next as an LRS. Yeah. I'll be a happy man in about a year.
Sounds great. More hours saved. Dave, appreciate you being on. We wish you all the best as always, and we want to have you on our other show, Life Edge, and we can talk a little bit more about e-learning and development and some of the things you've done. I know you've been pretty much on the forefront of things that companies are doing to try to maximize training, development, safety, and everything else. And I think that'll be a fun discussion too. Well, Dave, have a good one. And for all you people watching in the recording right now, please subscribe or give us your feedback. We'd love to hear from you. Dave, we'll see you next time. Have a great one.
Bye, Rick. Thank you very much.
Thank you much. Bye-bye.